What is up, everybody? Nicholas Moreano here. I'm in Mobile, Alabama to cover the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. And you know what? Did some learning from last year's Senior Bowl where I wore my hat backwards literally all 3 days and came out with the craziest tan line. No hats today. Can't say that my buddy Alex Shapiro from CHSN, well, it's his first time down here in Mobile, so he's kind of learning the ropes and things, but not enough sunblock. If you watch this, Alex, probably should have told you, but that's what you just got to experience it live here in Mobile, Alabama. But there's plenty to talk about, and obviously there are a lot of prospects that I want to highlight just from day one. And as these practices continue going, I think we'll see a little bit more from the players and just the I think better connections from some of the receivers and the quarterbacks. Even though, to be completely honest, wasn't even focusing on the skilled players for today's practice, more so in the trenches. But before I even get into anything like that, everybody, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel at Nicholas Moreano, and also for my Substack as well. There's a lot of cool things that I'm planning on doing with that, and there's some exclusive content that I'll be getting to right after this video, just from some information that I got for guys like Declan Doyle, the new Bears offensive coordinator, talking to some people that know him very well. And I've been putting out some tweets throughout the day about, just what they can tell me about him. And honestly, nothing but great things. And, a lot of people were really surprised it took even this long at only 28 years old for him to be an offensive coordinator. And they, could see it coming that he was going to get in this position that he's in now. So I'll have more insight on that. But again, you have to subscribe to my Substack and be a paid subscriber to get that content. But follow me, everything I have on my YouTube page, and obviously on Twitter as well. You'll see all the Moreano minutes, things like that, highlighting some of the players. I already put one out there from the national team practice, and there's another video scheduled to be at 7 o'clock that will highlight some 3 players from the American team practice. But let's kind of start there, just not even getting into prospects, but just setting the scene, what I was seeing out there at Hancock Whitney Stadium for day one of the Reese Senior Bowl practice. I always like to monitor where the, Bears staff and scouts are at, and how they kind of have it set up. They'll have the media on one side and then all the NFL personnel essentially on the other side of the field, so that you can separate the two. But they were rolling deep, about 14 people in the stands. Did not see Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, Ben Johnson, really any of the Bears coaches. Didn't see any of them there. Doesn't mean they're not here in Mobile, Alabama, but just didn't see them at day one of practice for the American team or the national team. What I did notice, though, just kind of watching where are the these Bear scouts going, because a lot of them will be in the stands, but some of them will make their way down to the field to have a more up close and personal look at some of the prospects. But one of the there was one of the scouts that couldn't tell you exactly who he was, but solely focused on the offensive line for the national team practice. I mean, was there monitoring, or sorry, that would have been the American team practice, where he was just focused on there and just kind of stayed there for the entire time, watching the individuals, then warm up, kind of go through their movements. But Trey Cozio, the director of player personnel, been with the Bears for a while now. He was there with that current Bears staff member, but then he was also watching the defensive line. And that was actually, he was watching the defensive line for the American team and also the national team. So maybe gives you an idea of some of the players that the Bears could be possibly looking at. There have been some players in the trenches that have popped off and showed some good traits. So doesn't surprise me at all, given the needs that this Bears team currently has, that they would be looking in the trenches at some of these player prospects are currently at the 2025 Senior Bowl. And then I kind of highlighted a little earlier about, what I was working on for the article, but I do want to share just some of the things that, I was able to get on, these new coordinators that the Bears have in Dennis Allen, but also in Declan Doyle, the Bears offensive coordinator. And just some of the things that I was able to transcribe while I was kind of watching the practices. Let's see if I can find exactly um, where I had this transcription at, and it'd be nice if I can, find it here. Probably need my phone wherever I just put that damn thing. I don't even know where I put that, but essentially, like especially with Declan Doyle, I just wanted to ask some of the staff members that were coaching on both teams that actually have overlapped or ran into Declan Doyle at previous spots. And like I was saying earlier, they were one. It was like super organized guy that's going to grind the tape, somebody that, again, like they were saying, they're not surprised he's in the position that he's in today. And one person I spoke to was like, yeah, 2 years too late to even be a coordinator. The guy's only 28. And yet, he thought he could have been an offensive coordinator at 26. Dude, I'm trying to think, what was I doing at 26 and not being an offensive coordinator? But it was really impressive to hear, these people that do know Declan, that some consider him really close friends, and I'll detail all of exactly who said that in the article that I write later. But it kind of just speaks volumes as to who he was or who he is, what he was like back then when these people met him. So I think that is a good indication, hopefully, of what maybe the Bears are getting at that spot and how it can help Ben Johnson as he's going through his first time being an offensive coordinator. And then for Dennis Allen, what was being said there is that he's a guy that just ball. He's just a ball guy. I think the quote was, and I can find this one because it's on my Twitter. And this was from the Saints defensive assistant, as I'm pulling it up, Adam Gristick. He said he's just a ball head. He's been doing it for a long time, a lot of experience. He's a mastermind when it comes to calling defenses. You guys are definitely getting a good one. And, other people that I spoke to also, when describing Dennis Allen, said that he's really good with young staff members and that, he just works well with them, understands his players, will put his players in the best position possible. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dennis Allen can do with this Bears defense and how, he can take maybe even certain players to, a new level. I think that's obviously what you want from your coach and the players to find guys that elevate you, push you. And just from what I've been hearing down here in Mobile on just day one, sounds like Dennis Allen definitely fits that. But look, you can find out so much more about what I'm talking. I know I'm being kind of anonymous, like these guys said this guy said that. As somebody who is now doing this independently or being down here, and I'm so grateful that I get to have just some sponsor like Windy City Sports Cards, helping fund this trip. But that's what you got to go to the Substack, be a paid subscriber, and see exactly everything that all these coaches said about the two current Bears offensive and defensive coordinators in Declan Doyle and Dennis Allen. All right, let's get into some of these the players and who stood out to me. I'm somebody that, I'll take out my tablet, I'll write notes as I'm going throughout the practice, kind of making note of, who's doing what, who's winning one-on-ones. What really matters, I think, is a good way of putting it. Because, day one of these practices, you have all these, college players coming into a new setting, getting used to these NFL coaches, and then trying to figure out, like, just the flow of things and get into the rhythm of the type of practice. So it's going to take some time for maybe some guys to really show what they're truly capable of. But that doesn't mean that, some of the players didn't already, take advantage of their opportunities. So one of the players that I thought did a really good job, and we'll start with this would be the American team practice here, that I think just really did a good job of highlighting what he's capable of, and especially going against higher level talent, was Gray Zabel, the North Dakota State offensive lineman. This is a guy that he played left guard, center, right guard. And I thought he showed an impressive anchor in terms of some of those one-on-one reps, was able to hold his own, and, playing at three different spots too. That was impressive in itself. So Stock is rising for Gray Zabel as he's kind of making his way throughout the Senior Bowl practices and the one-on-ones and team drills. It's harder to evaluate, not gonna lie, with some of the team settings, but really liked what I saw from the one-on-ones, and hopefully we get to continue to see him trending in that right direction. Wyatt Millum from West Virginia was another guy that I knew coming in I wanted to watch. So, just making sure that when he was taking reps in the one-on-ones, I was looking in his direction. I like to place myself in the middle where I could see a little bit of the wide receivers, DBs, even though I wasn't too focused on them for today's practice. And then also look over to my right where you'll see a little bit of the one-on-ones with the offensive defensive line, running backs, linebackers, etc. So Wyatt Millum, I think he had some really nice reps where um, going against the Iowa defensive lineman, blanking on his first name but last name Black, he literally Wyatt is using one arm to wall him off and wins that rep, and afterwards it kind of get a little heated, which you like to see, like just the guys being competitive, but you see that's an impressive rep from Wyatt. But then also a couple reps later, you see him get his hand slapped down. The defensive end's he gets over around the edge and is able to win that rep. So you're going to see some inconsistencies. It's impossible to be perfect at these, but someone that I'm still keeping an eye on as I'm going through these practices. And I know there was a nice rep where Wyatt did go up to the second level. That's one of the things that he can do in his game. So, you got to keep you really just got to monitor all these offensive linemen, especially in the interior, given the Bears status and where they're at, and what they could possibly be looking for. Also, in the just making sure I got the rosters here right. In the American team practice, as we're kind of looking at people that were showing some things here. Let's see, where are you at? Looking at my rosters here, that of course they didn't have any when we get to the stadium, so makes it that much more difficult. But the American team roster, and now I finally found the right one. Where the heck are these people at? I have them written down in my notes, but now I don't have the actual rosters in front of me, which is great. But 94 beat up the center. Oh, Robinson, yes. There we go. The defensive lineman from Nebraska, Ty Robinson. Dude, I look, this is a guy that I had no idea coming into this what he was about or who this guy even was, but seeing, him speed to power and just consistent power, that bull rush on the interior, like that was impressive. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him as I am kind of going through these practices just to see what he can stack days. Like that's the thing. It's day one. Like I was just saying earlier, guys are trying to feel each other out and trying to go through these practices. Not like no one taking anybody to the ground or hitting people or doing anything like that. So it's you want to see what can happen on day two. But Ty Robinson, and am I saying American? National roster. Apologize. National roster. Ty Robinson really showed out, did some good things in that practice. Also, I believe it's Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech. He had a couple of good reps too, where you're like, oh, okay, that's someone again to keep an eye on as kind of go forward here. One of the other guys too that sticking with that a national defense, and let's see if I can find him here as I finally have the right roster in front of me. I don't know why it took me so long. No, sorry, not even defensive line, but the offensive line. Where is he from? Minnesota. Ooh, Ursery, Minnesota offensive line, number 69. Terrible with names, I apologize, but also had some good reps as he was kind of going through the one-on-ones there. So he was a guy that, again, I had him written down in my notes, wanted to watch as much as I could. But the guy from Minnesota, 69, from the national roster. You also had Wyatt Millum from West Virginia, and then Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Those guys in the trenches really, I think, did some good things. And like I said, day two, we'll see where they are at day two. Defensive line, Ty Robinson. Yeah, he's someone that's going to be fun to watch. David Walker, Central Arkansas, number 33. He had some reps too where you just take notice. So another guy that I'll be looking out for on the second day of the Senior Bowl. But I think that's for the national roster. I think the American roster was a little bit more. I don't want to say fun because it's American or the American roster was kind of focused more on the running backs and the linebackers and one-on-ones, and naturally that's a more entertaining kind of drill. It could be. I mean, depending on your preference, but I like seeing guys that are able to have great movement skills and then separate and get open. So when I was watching Trevor Etienne, the Georgia running back, and some of the one-on-one drills, yeah, it was fun to watch, and the way that he would make his body go one way and then go the opposite way, like that was fun to see some of the linebackers just completely miss on things. There was one rep where he lost his footing, but other than that, he was consistently winning in the one-on-ones, and it is a drill where look, it should always be favored to the offensive player. There's so much space to work with, and there's not like a time constraint or anything for the quarterback. You do have to get it out at a reasonable time, but uh, Trevor Etienne, fun to watch. So was Marcus Yarns from Delaware. It was funny looking at from the vantage point. It looks like a Michigan helmet. The colors, the logo on it, everything. And I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, I'm not seeing Michigan running back on here. Like, what is going on? And then I zoomed up, took a picture of his last name, Yarns, and I put running back. And then it came up with Delaware. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So he was doing also creating a lot of separation at the line of scrimmage, making linebackers go one way, going the other way, soft hands. So I don't know what the Bears are gonna look to think to do or potentially add to the running back position. You have DeAndre Swift, you have Roshan Johnson. Does Ben Johnson like those two guys? Can he add more to that room? We see what he's obviously done with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. So there's potential, maybe. And this is a good running back draft class. Still have to dig way deeper into it. But just seeing like those two guys, for example, do what they did today, fun stuff. Defensive line, really quickly, kind of jumping all over the place, but Omar Norman Lott, Tennessee. Watching the team setting, the get off was so apparent, and it was disruptive too. That was the thing. He was timing the snap, getting in the backfield, and there was one play where the ball ended up on the ground. I don't know if Norman Lott actually got in the backfield so quickly that it disrupted the center quarterback exchange, but he was there 2 reps in a row where times a snap, able to beat the interior offensive lineman and get in the backfield. So that's something that as you're looking at, guys that can be disruptive in the middle, and especially when you have a guy like Zach Pickens, who I think is obviously took a step back in year 2, you need to find more guys that can be disruptive there. Not saying that like this is a guy that the Bears target, but he did show some really good things in just some of the reps that he had. Just kind of looking at the roster for the rest of it here. You know, yeah, I think it's weird because I think for me, like I like to flip flop on who I'm watching on any given day. So like the national team next practice, instead of watching the running backs, linebackers, I might just solely focus more on the trenches, and I'll do the opposite for the American team where I was in the trenches. Maybe I'll focus more on some of the skill guys. But I mean, that's really the guys that I had highlighted. 55 get off, Marcus Yarns, I had him in there, like the Georgia running back. Told you guys about Oh yeah, there was a random thing. Trey Cozio talking with Arthur Smith while while they were near the offensive line, and that's not out there for player from people from different organizations to overlap and talk with people. It just happens. Like I saw John Lynch talking with Mike Tomlin for like 10 minutes watching one of the groups, practice. So it's not out there by any means, like what's going on there? So not a big deal. I have number 16 blows up the play inside. So that would have been the American team or the national roster. Let's see. I can find it over here. And we had 16. Would that be not the quarterbacks, not the American team roster? So the national team roster, that would be, oh, Peebles, Virginia Tech. So did see some good things from him over there. But yeah, no, that I mean that's really like the recap of day one Senior Bowl, and like I said, I'm gonna do some more writing, but it obviously there's going to be more content and more things, more takeaways, more players that will stand out. As I said, I think as the practices go on, the quality on the field gets better and more players get to show exactly what they're capable of. But I couldn't be here covering, I think this is now my fifth Senior Bowl. If it wasn't for, my friends at Windy City Sports Cards, as you guys know, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks, they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to their Chicago focus items, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. Visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or discover a new favorite. And you can find them at windycitysportscards.com. Got to check them out. It was funny. My brother was like looking through some of our old sports cards, and we're like, whoa, we should take these over to Windy City Sports to see what they think. But, they have so much cool stuff. And for the women that may see this, like, hey guys, Valentine's Day coming up, it could be a nice gift to go check out Windy City Sports Cards. So go check them out, and also check out Elite Icons. They provide quality and affordable jersey framing for thousands of customers every year. You can trust their products and services to be genuine and of the highest quality, backed by our extensive industry expertise. They offer custom jersey framing at the most competitive prices in the nation. That's incredible. Additionally, they host several public and private signings each year, feature your favorite players. Regardless of the sport or project type, they can frame it. So go check out Windy City Sports Cards. Go check out Elite Icons. Get yourself set up with all that sports memorabilia. You can never have too much. But I think that's gonna do it for the this recap show of the Reese Senior Bowl Day 1. Again, American team, national team had their first practice. There'll be two more. The game will be this weekend, and I have you covered for the next 2 days at Mobile, Alabama, Hancock Whitney Stadium, where these practices are being held, and make sure to let you know about more of the players that are impressing me that can be fits for the Bears as they're looking to build this roster with Ben Johnson and the rest of the staff. They're still kind of building over here. But like I said, you're also subscribe to my Substack so you can get that exclusive content that I'm going to literally work on right now, so that you can get out to you before you're all about to go to bed. But some really good stuff, really good insight on Declan Doyle and Dennis Allen. So go check that out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Nicholas Moreano. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.